Hello, today I want to discuss some of the comments that evolved because it's pretty interesting out of my last video that it is not possible to be moral and work for the banking industry. Now, I always welcome criticism, anything that's constructive criticism that is not an ad hominem attack, which basically amounts to people trying to attack your character to draw attention away from the message. So the trolls that do that, I'm not even going to respond to. However, um, I'd like to discuss some of the comments that people made because there's sometimes constructive criticism. There are things that make me think maybe I should reconsider my position or I should think about my position and need to explain it more fully. And even haters that hate, there's some usefulness to that because sometimes they can even make you think, instead of just dismissing haters, sometimes I'll think about what they say, and sometimes it can add to my understanding because you always have to be open to criticism, being in this game when you're going to make statements such as that. So let's start out with number one. Ace 1000KS1975 says, "Are bank tellers evil?" And in fact, he made several comments, or he or she, I don't know if this person is a man or a woman. It says that keeps talking about banking being evil. Now, there's a huge difference, first of all, between immoral and evil. So I think when we look at an industry, I never said that bank tellers are evil because you can watch my whole video. Never once did I say bank tellers are evil. So that is the first point. So I said anyone that works in the industry possibly is probably immoral because the industry itself is immoral. So anyone that supports an industry is immoral. So you have to look at, does the industry helpful to humanity or is it destructive to humanity? And I think if you really understand the banking industry as it was designed by the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Warburgs, etc., the JP Morgans, that it is really, really destructive to humanity. So that is my point. I don't think you could work for industry that is super destructive to humanity, that causes so much misery and poverty, and consider yourself a moral person. Now, I'm not saying evil because, as I said before, I used to work in the banking industry until I realized how immoral the industry was, because I was used to be ignorant about how the bank industry really worked. But once I had that realization, that's when I say you have to make a choice, either to be moral and quit the industry, or to forego your morality and keep working in the industry. So that's the point I'm trying to take. So rather than saying, because it's a total distortion of my message, our bank tellers evil, right? Because it makes it sound it distorts my message. It's not even my message because that's not what I said. But so rather than say our bank tellers evil or bankers evil, say our bankers immoral. So I think the answer to that question would be the same answer to the question: is it immoral to be an accountant for Hitler? Is it immoral to be, say, a secretary for Mussolini? Is it immoral to be a lawyer for Pol Pot? These are the same questions because when you look at the drug cartels, and that's only one small part of the immorality of bankers, because as I told you in my previous video, the former UN drug czar Antonio Maria Costa said that the annual drug trade is estimated to be about 380 billion. 85% of that money is laundered through the global banking system. So that amounts to about $323 billion every single year. So this money that's being laundered through the system, every person that's engaged in illicit, unethical, immoral activity destructive to humanity, you can certainly put the drug cartels in that category. Well, they need people in occupations that aren't really evil to help them out, or not really inherently immoral to help them out, such as accounting, lawyers. They all need bankers, but actually this banking system is inherently immoral the way it was built, because it is built to harm and and destroy humanity. So instead of helping humanity, instead of helping the economy grow, it's deliberately put in place to allow a certain select number of people at the very top to manipulate the whole system, to transfer wealth from an entire nation into themselves only, for the benefit of only themselves. So that is definitely a system that is destructive to humanity. So the banking system, every drug cartel needs bankers. And the fact of the matter is, you're laundering $323 billion a year through the global banking system, that almost every major bank, if not every major bank in the entire world, is going to be participating in this drug laundering. So in effect, if you cut the ability of these drug cartels to launder their money and clean it, because if it remains dirty, they can't buy real estate, they can't buy homes, they can't invest in other parts of their individual empires, then you destroy the drug cartels. You destroy the drug cartels by refusing to partake in this unethical, highly misanthropic industry. Then you don't have the 60,000 murders of and that's only the Mexican drug cartels since the election of the new Mexican president. Those are only the homicides, about 10,000 a year that take place just in Mexico alone. So you are aiding and abetting this murder as part of the global banking system. That is indisputable. As I noted before, there's plenty of information. Again, I'll put the details again below in the video description, so check it out. Another book you can check out is one by Robert Mazur, who was a former U.S. Customs agent who went undercover, and he wrote a book about all the dirty money that's laundered through the banking system called The Infiltrator: My Secret Life Inside the Dirty Banks Behind Pablo Escobar's Medellin Cartel. And of course, Escobar was the biggest cocaine drug kingpin in the history of the world. And what he says, I told you that the UN Drug Czar said there's about $323 billion a year being laundered through just drug cartels, but the actual criminal money being laundered through all these banks is a lot bigger, because Mazur says it's about $2.1 trillion per year. So he actually infiltrated the BCCI, which stands for the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, and a lot of people are familiar because that was a really notorious story. But think about it, that bank is gone. So who took up all the business? Of course, you have Standard Chartered, Wachovia, HSBC that have taken up all that business that the BCCI used to get, since that bank was shut down. But the reason the BCCI was shut down and these other huge commercial global banks aren't shut down, because these commercial banks are supported and oftentimes shareholders of these central banks that run these countries. So they're never going to be shut down. So the interesting thing is that Mazur said there's $2.1 trillion per year of dirty criminal money going through the global banking system. But he said even this is a underestimation of the criminal activities of all the global banks, because he says that there's also, besides dirty illegal money that needs to be laundered and cleaned, he said there's actually clean money being taken and filtered and transferred through banks across international borders that are used for criminal activities. And he said that probably exceeds, in his estimation from his years of undercover work, more than $2.1 trillion. So if you double that, we're talking $4 to $5 trillion a year of criminal activity that the global banking system is supporting. So it is out there, and all this information is there for people to see. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of people have a hard time understanding this, because even though all the facts are there, this is not something that the mainstream media publishes. So people still remain sometimes ignorant, or they blow it off. They hear HSBC just got fined $1.9 billion for laundering $7 billion in cash from the Sinaloa Mexican drug cartel, and they say, oh, that's just a one-time thing. But this thing happens all the time, every year. You have to think about it. There's more than $4 to $5 trillion a year flowing through the global banking system, used for dirty criminal purposes, that supports tens of thousands of murders every single year. So this is something that's going on, and something that needs to be addressed. And a lot of times people can't fathom that this is actually true, because they just haven't been exposed to it, because the bankers also control all the mass media, and they will never publicize this event. So it only filters out into any of the mainstream press when the story basically is just too big to suppress, like with HSBC, Standard Chartered, with Wachovia, and on and on and on. So one thing that people have to think about is a lot of the paradigms that the media and the banking cartels have pushed forth as truthful paradigms of business operations are actually lies and propaganda. Okay, so I just wanted to discuss one more comment. So those comments by Mayana and Ace 1000KS, they're great comments for me to really think and flesh out my commentary even further. So thank you for writing those comments. But another comment on another website, which this video was on, somebody basically produced an ad hominem attack saying, oh, what about your morality, JS Kim? What about your morality? How can you be moral if you're charging 3 ounces of gold for this service? Oh, that's ridiculous. So he's talking about like basically a course that I developed that basically explains all the fraud of the entire global economic system that you never learn in business school, that no MBA course in the entire world is going to teach you. And I flesh this out, and I charge 3 ounces of gold. Now you have to remember, when I launched my company, an ounce of gold was only about $580 an ounce. So let's just round it up to $600. So that's $1,800 that this course would have been when I started out. And this took me years and years and years to produce this one course. So there's a person saying, oh, that's so immoral. How can you charge so much? So first of all, it's ridiculous that a person would think that a moral person has to forego earning a living. Everyone has to earn a living. So this is what I came up with, the fair amount for this course, the fair price. And I can see if the price points are too high, too low by how many people buy it. So if enough people buy it, then obviously it's a fair price for the course, given the value that they are able to extract from the knowledge that I am giving to people. So, and then my the flagship product that we have with the most members is our investment newsletter, which we priced at half an ounce of gold a year. So again, when we launched our product, it was just about $30 a month. Now, granted, that's gone up to $75 to $85 a month, but this proves my point about banking being destructive. And in fact, I've not changed the price of that newsletter from half an ounce of gold since we launched more than 6 years ago. But the price in the devaluing dollar, the price in the devaluing euro, the price in all other devaluing pound sterling has gone up because the bankers are destroying the purchasing power of all fiat currency. So it exactly proves my point. So maybe I will adjust the fiat price downward, because if gold and silver next year in 2000 do go up significantly, maybe the price points of some of my services will get a little bit too expensive. But it is not due to my fault, because if we had a sound monetary system, which is my exact argument, then the price points of my more expensive services would be the same price they were 6 years ago. So my education course would still be $1,500 or $1,800 at the 3 ounces of gold. If you look at Harvard charges almost $5,000 per course. So, and you're not even extracting any good knowledge if you're going and getting like an MBA from Harvard, because all the bankers have filtered out all the good knowledge and are just giving you useless knowledge that you won't be able to use in your life to build and preserve wealth. So again, beware of these ad hominem attacks. Don't let it distract you away from the message that banking is a moral industry and just a legalized mafia, because that is my true message that I want to get out there. So thanks again for all the comments. Don't forget to comment below again on this video. And I think that wraps it up for my videos about this banking is an immoral industry topic. We'll move on to a new topic in the next video. Thanks for watching, and have a great day as always. So long.